And welcome back to the Athletes United platform here on Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters. I'm your host, Big Mel, his judgeship, purveyor of all that he sees, and final arbiter of all that comes before him. We have an interesting young lady here with us today, Miss Seanne Trevino. How are you doing this morning?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Good? All right, fantastic. We often have guests who bring us innovative ideas, thoughts, influences that we weren't aware of. Now, Seanne, we're going to ask you a couple of questions about what you do, what your general interest is, and how you navigate this big city called Houston. Is that okay?
That's okay, yes.
All right, fantastic. First of all, what have you been involved in?
A lot of different things. I mean, I actually this morning I was up at 4:30 this morning doing Camp Gladiator, which is a boot camp.
Really?
That's outside, but they also do it virtually.
Mercy.
And it was awesome. I love it.
Love that.
Been doing that with Camp Gladiator since 2019. It's
really
keeping me sane, yes, and healthy.
And healthy
yes,
at the same time.
Yes, and healthy at the same time.
So do you find it gives you, some kind of, it reaches your impulses, it gives you strength? And,
keeps me motivated. It's a group, there's about 20 people in my 5 a.m. class.
Wow.
Our trainer is absolutely amazing. When I first started this, I was not able to do burpees or do sit-ups on my knees, and now I can do them just on my feet.
Look at you.
I know, so I love it. I feel healthy. I've lost 31 pounds, and so it's a very good thing. Yeah.
Let's give that some time. Yes, let's observe that. Now, doing boot camp at that time of morning, obviously you had not had nothing to eat for a while. So you're just on protein drink and soda, water?
I actually used to just go with an empty stomach, and now I have a power bar in the morning, right when I wake up. And so I have my little power bar, and then I eat a big breakfast when I get home.
How about that?
Yes, it's wonderful.
Yes. Were you an athlete or competitive at all when you were much younger?
When I was younger, I was on the swim team. I swam on the swim team for years until I, aged out of that. And then played softball as well, went to All-Stars.
So you know what it means to compete. You know what it means to be in great physical condition, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Give us some information about this trainer. Who is this guy, this leader?
So her name is Michelle.
Her name?
Mm-hmm. They have several trainers that work in the area. And it's over at United Baptist Church, I think, over in Bel Air. It's outside. There's a theme. It's called "Take It Outside."
Yes.
And she's absolutely wonderful. We started this in July of 2019. Very motivating and fun, and just it's more than just a workout group. We often would meet to go to breakfast for brunch after like this week was peak week, and we would all meet for brunch, or we'd go do happy hours. We do holiday parties, but unfortunately because of COVID, we haven't been able to do that. But we still got our Christmas gifts. So she's wonderful, but she's from Dallas. And, she stays in touch with us to make sure if we aren't at class that we're there. And then she also has an online page for our particular group.
Oh, she's full bore. Yeah.
Full on, yes.
And this just sort of grew out of spontaneity. It was nothing planned or
I think, the company itself grew from Austin, and they started populating everywhere else. It's wonderful, and it's inexpensive. We did one before, and my husband and I paid $100 a piece. And this one, we because we did the 2-year plan, extended plan. I pay $49 myself, and then because he's my spouse, he pays $39. So it's amazing. You don't have to just do it 3 days a week. You can do it 6 days a week if you like. And not only that, they have several classes. There's several trainers and virtual classes, and so. Let's say if I decide to get up at 3 a.m, I could do an East Coast 4 a.m. class and sign in virtually. Yeah, it's great. So
it's all you can take.
All you can take. And it makes us feel good. My husband had high blood pressure before we started this, and he never could keep up with me, 5'2", running, and now he was right past me. So yes, it's a very good good community.
And you consider it the key to your sanity.
The key to my sanity, yes, because I've been furloughed since March.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yes.
You were furloughed from what?
I work at the Hilton Houston Post Oak by the Galleria. I'm in sales over there, but I'm furloughed, so haven't been there since March 27th.
It was a direct result of the COVID conditions and how it impacts sales.
Yes, sir.
And obviously hospitality.
Yes, we've been hit very hard.
Is there any sector and segment of our society that haven't been touched by this?
I mean, medical, but I feel like medical, but that's very tough for them. I mean, touched as far as touch period, no.
Yes.
No,
yes.
I don't think so.
This is an insidious virus that I guess some people saw it coming, slow to react. Could have been handled with a lot more, I guess, guidance and leadership and urgency.
Well, you know about the story about George W. Bush. He read a book about a pandemic, and he's the one who came up with the plan if there was a pandemic, and passed it on and on. So somehow or another that got lost.
Wow.
Yes.
So
or the funds were gone. So
I see.
Did
you regard this as a lack of leadership or lack of vision?
I think, a little bit of both. But we're going to make it through this. I'm very sure about that.
Somehow, huh?
Somehow, yeah.
American exceptionalism.
Exactly.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Now, let's get into something else here. You've been in the world of hospitality sometime.
Yes, sir.
And that naturally involves the people side of the business. You have to be interactive and interface with a lot of public kinds of tour. How does something like that play into who you are as a person?
I just love meeting new people and different people. There's something different in all sorts of facets, within the hospitality industry. I started in operations and then moved over to sales in '95, and I didn't like salespeople at first, and then I loved them. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And so it was a lot of fun. I love, making connections with people and helping them with their vision.
Oh, yes.
Ensuring that I meet their budget and so on, and that my team can create an excellent event for them. So, yeah, for conferences and so on.
So if you're booking a conference or some kind of convention, is it typical in hospitality where somebody in your position have a huge bandwidth, you can just sort of play with the numbers inside of there or something there?
So yeah, I don't really do catering part of it. I do the conferences that require overnight guest rooms,
I see.
Which would also include a banquet, or it could be rooms only.
Yes.
It just really depends. We work with groups that just don't just have rooms, and that have both. But if they just have meetings, I don't handle that. Well, it has to have sleeping rooms attached, and so I contract that. I talk to them and negotiate and get them to sign the contract, and then we pass it over to the people that detail the events.
Yes. And
they detail it and make it perfect. I'm always there for the client from the beginning to the end, just to make sure that, okay, I'm not just passing you off. I will constantly stay in contact as well as after the conference is ended as well.
I see. There could be traveling groups all over the world.
Exactly.
Call Seanne. Huh?
Yeah, and I work the government, National Association, and military. So we, National Association, and state association as well, and regional. And so there's 1,000,001 associations to be had.
Wow.
So it's a little bit crazy. But the state association, they do rotation within Dallas, Austin, Corpus, Houston, and so on. So.
And you become the point person for all of this.
Yes, sir.
All the connections.
Yes.
Is that exciting stuff?
It's really fun. It's a lot of fun. I love it. I love meeting new people. And whenever there's a challenge of someone saying that they won't come to my hotel, or they would never book at my hotel, or we haven't booked them in 7 years, I'm going to do everything to get them at my property.
But with that kind of expertise and that kind of enthusiasm, we're going to tell Mr. Hines to find some kind of function that we can deploy those kind of
is he
skills.
here?
He may be
he's
here
here.
somewhere.
Okay.
There's a rumor that he's here somewhere.
Oh, good, good, excellent. I'm supposed to meet with him at 11.
Yes. I'm certain he'll be here, Charlie. Tell me this, Suzanne. If you could just wave a magic wand and make anything happen right now, give me one or two of the priorities.
Well, I think you already probably know number one.
Number one?
Can you guess it?
Get rid of this
Yes, sir.
pandemic.
Please, please,
Yes.
and get everybody back to work. Get rid of the pandemic, vaccine, make that works, and make it fast. You know, but I mean, it's harder than that, I guess.
Wow. I suspect if you asked any random person that would probably be their priority.
I would probably suspect that too.
How is it that it turns out that America, the most innovative, we have documented leadership in almost every facet of economic activity. How is it we wind up the most deadliest spot on the planet for this doggone disease?
Again, what I was sharing about the George W. Bush when he had his plan for the pandemic, because he read the book about the pandemics. I think that was one of the biggest losses for our country, and not heeding to that and being prepared.
Yes.
So that's one of the things.
We haven't altered our behavior to the degree we probably should to ward off higher transmission.
Yes, for sure.
Kind of thing. You can ride around sometimes and see restaurants loaded with people.
You have, yeah.
There's functions where people are just crowded in there but wearing no kind of protection. They tell me there's a concert. Like, come on, guys.
I mean, I want to go to a concert. I want to pay $8 for a glass of wine. I have no problem with that in a Dixie cup. But I just, I won't do it because of everything that's going on.
Yes.
So I miss all that. I do miss traveling and everything. Would love to travel again.
I understand that. So would I. So one day they come to you and say, Suzanne, it's been real, but that way, that's how they broke it to you. We're going to have to furlough several people. Business is down.
They tried to keep.
Yeah,
they tried to keep three of us, and it came from corporate.
Yes.
So we're corporate property, and they did not agree to keeping the three of us on, and so basically, several other people were let go as far as furlough. I mean, I understand it.
What does furlough mean in this day's terms? What does furlough mean?
Meaning that they hope to have you come back. Originally they had said it was June, and then I received a letter saying that there's no end date.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, they pay for my insurance, which is good, but I'm a very busy person, and it's very hard for me not to work. I think my husband's sick of me redoing the furniture, and I painted it and fixed it, and then I said, okay, well, the furniture's been painted, so we have to paint the bedroom. So I painted that and fixed all the walls and everything, because we had an old house, and put crown molding, and yeah, so he's probably like, yeah, no, you missed a spot. I probably missed 100 spots, but I had to stay busy.
My.
Yes.
You're a person who can't spend much time on the couch, huh?
And I don't like my couch right now because I have spent a lot of couch time because of the COVID.
My God, you hear people complain about COVID weight and COVID syndrome.
Yeah.
Then some people have discovered that they actually have a spouse. Yeah.
Yes.
I found out that I had a backyard.
Yeah, my husband's been working at home.
Yes.
Since this happened, so.
Working at home.
Yes.
Would that even fulfill your need? If they call you and say you can do your bookings from home.
I was doing that before the furlough. Yes.
And suddenly they say we don't need that anymore.
Mm-mm.
Well, you're probably just one of any number of so-called COVID, uh, I don't want to call them conditions, but somehow you've been impacted by COVID.
Hmm. I mean,
like so many means.
I did work for seasonal for UPS for 6 weeks, so that was pretty good. Kept me out of the house. So
I read a stat the other day that said the economy shrunk by 3.5%
that doesn't
in
surprise
2020,
me. Hmm.
which was, for all practical purposes, worse since World War II.
Yeah, it is. That's what I read as well.
Yeah. We're talking to Suzanne Trevino here, a young lady of substance who's done a lot of things, and obviously you can see she has a lot of energy. And it's 15 minutes after the hour, and we're going to be right back in a moment.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing findhealthbenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Welcome back to Athletes United platform here on the Edge Radio Networks, where truth still matters. As always, I'm your host, Big Mel. It's a judgeship, as I am known candidly. I am master of all that I survey and the final arbiter of all that comes before me. And we have a young man on this program today that I find fascinating. He does some interesting work out here in the so-called gig economy, and it's called payment processing systems. We're going to have him talk a little bit about this.
Yes, sir.
His
Thank
name
you.
is
Thank you.
Robert Stewart.
Thanks for having me, Mel. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. He's from Transatlantic.
Transglobal payments. Yeah, not just the Atlantic, the whole world, man. We got it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Transglobal. That's great. That's great. Transglobal Payment Systems.
Yes, sir.
Robert, how you been doing?
Pretty good, man. It's been a wild day. I don't know if you've been keeping up with stuff in the stock market here recently with GameStop, and AMC. Man, there's a lot of money to be made these past few days.
We've always accused the very, very rich of using the stock market as a casino.
Hey,
it seems yesterday.
Times have turned, haven't it? Times have turned. Yeah, no, the little man on those platforms are really taking off.
How about that?
Have been giving the big guys a run for their money for sure.
Perhaps they're democratizing capital somehow.
They are, yeah. They are.
Giving everybody a
shot. A little transfer of power here.
Yes. I'm not opposed to that at all.
No, not at all. No.
Speaking of that, transfer, when, let's say a small business accepts a credit card through some kind of device there for some service they've offered or goods they've sold, what happens?
Well, there's a lot that happens. It's a very complicated circle. It goes from your consumer, from your bank account, it goes to the processing account, the host bank account of that merchant, and it's a full circle there. It's about, I would say, about 5 different switches of hands that happen within about a tenth of a second. Yeah, it's a very complicated circle there, but at the end of the day, you lose your money and the merchant receives some money, so, and then of course, my business, and we're a merchant processor, right here in Houston, Texas. And, our business, our job is to help make that process go faster and securely, and at a lower rate for the merchant, because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, every single credit card that comes to a merchant's business has a rate attached to it.
I see.
And the merchant doesn't want to pay for those fees. They don't want to pay for that. Whenever you're taking those flight miles, you got 50,000 flight miles on United or whatever it may be. The merchant is paying for that. They're paying for those extra miles, so those extra points that are attributed to that credit card. So
it doesn't seem right.
It's not right. It's something that these companies have put in place to make an extra buck, but. At the end of the day, we want to try to lower that cost as much as we can for that merchant.
Interesting.
So we have some pretty good complex structures put in place, or pricing structures put in place with our company through cash discounting and different pricing terms that we can put in place to really mitigate that cost for the merchant.
So you're saying if I'm a small business and I accept a credit card, it costs me something.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I've seen crazy things from. Really doing analysis of some of my clients' statements, and I've seen them being charged 4%, 5%, just for one credit card transaction.
Of total transaction?
Of one transaction, 4 to 5% that they're losing out on, and they don't realize it because they haven't had someone do that cost-benefit analysis for them.
Okay, so for clarity, I'm selling an item, if I'm a small business, that I priced at $100.
Yep.
I intend to get $100 out of that.
You intend to.
I think it's a part of my bottom line. It's a part of my profit, profitability. But when somebody swipes for that product, maybe I get $96 out the deal, or 97.
Maybe you're missing out on about 3%, 3.75%, up to 4%. So you're only receiving $96 of that at the end of the day when you hit your bank. So in a long run, what kind of taking your costs for that item, whatever it was, your margins there, it could really be eating at your bottom line. So, so I mean, that's why we really try to keep our merchants either fully eliminate that cost for them, or see as low as we can get that, most time under 2%.
Let me ask you this, Robert. Your company's a processing company.
Yeah.
Do you, over a period of time, increase your fees or rates as well?
No. That's a quick way to get someone knocking on your door. We don't do that. No, that's not right. No, once we put once a merchant comes on board with us at Transglobal, that fee stays the same. It never is going to go up, no matter how much they process. If it's a bad month, if COVID strikes again and they only do $100 in a week. Or if they're back to their normal processing speed and they're doing $10,000 a week, that rate's gonna stay the same.
But those card producers, the American Express, and Mercury, and MasterCard, Visa, That rate's going to go up a little bit, or do not?
So their interchange, the interchange fee is something that does fluctuate. And that's something that we have to take into account whenever we are setting that price or the rates for our merchants. You know, and even if that price does fluctuate, you know, we have a certain leeway there, and that we can take that cushion, and the merchant won't have to hit that. We'll have to take the brunt of that.
Please explain, for the benefit of our viewers, what interchange is. What do we mean by that?
Yeah, interchange is essentially just the relationship between the card issuer, so MasterCard, American Express, Visa, Discover, and that rate that they put for anyone using their network. So you have an interchange of usually say Visa, for example. I don't know where it is exactly right now, but say 1.58%. That's the baseline interchange cost.
I see.
So that's something that anyone that's holding a Visa card, whenever they go and pay, you know, at a business, that merchant is going to incur that fee, or if they come on with a cash discount program, completely mitigate that fee.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's two different ways to do it, just to kind of get around that, but that is the baseline of an interchange fee.
So in terms of this cash discount program, let's go back to the example of my $100 product.
Yeah.
If a customer comes to my counter with this product and gives me $100 of cash, how does that? Will I give him a discount from there, or will I accept?
Yeah. So the cash discount program, what that has essentially been put in place is to give your customers a benefit for using cash. At the same time, if they come use a credit card, we've already priced your goods up a little bit to completely cover the cost of any credit card that comes through.
Yes.
You know, so we've increased the price of your goods on average from 3.85 to 4%. Okay. So the price of your goods are set up there. So that covers the cost of anything that's going to come through. Any credit card that's going to come through. American Express, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Wow. So that $100 product, if you come to card, I probably got it priced at $103.85.
You would probably originally priced it at that. Yeah. So it's sitting on your shelf at $103.
I see.
So they come and pay for it with credit card, it's going to be $103 plus tax. Okay. If they come and pay with cash, it's going to be $103 minus the discount of for paying with cash. So it would be $103, and you say, I'm gonna give you a cash discount of 4%. So then it comes back down to that original price that you had set originally at $100 or whatnot, and there you go. And that customer feels like, hey, I can come here and save some money.
Yes.
You know, if I'm paying with cash. Yes. Now, of course, at the end of the day, me being a processor, that doesn't benefit me, or you know, but it does benefit the merchant. And at the end of the day, we'll make them happy.
I see. Yeah. And the merchant maintains his profit line.
Maintains that line. Yep.
Yes. Okay. You mentioned perhaps 5 hands changing. Blink of an eye. Everybody's making a little piece of money.
Everybody's making a little bit. Yeah. Of course.
I swiped this card here in Houston, Texas. Some server in Tokyo. They distribute these funds. Wow.
Yeah. It goes. I mean, it has to go from your bank, you know, to that merchant processor, to the networks have to talk between Visa and all those networks have to talk. The issuing bank, our host bank has to talk. I mean, everyone has to talk in the blink of an eye to hold, process, and validate that payment.
Hence the name Transglobal.
Yeah, exactly.
What interests you about this business, Robbie? Tell us something. What
you know, I've been in the payment industry for about 5 years, going on 7 years. Sorry. Started with an international payments firm. You know, they're doing foreign currency, cross-border payments. We're actually doing something with that now. I can speak on a little further down the line, but. Got into payments, you know, about 7 years ago, and just loved the business, loved the information that I gained from talking to all these different companies, from Fortune 500 companies here in New York. I mean, here in New York, here in Houston, of course, in the oil and gas industry, and you know, it's fascinating. It's a easy way to make some money, essentially. And at the end of the day, I'm helping clients out that don't have the information that they need to really. Make their day better.
Therein lies the difference.
Make their day better. And on top of that, save them money. You know, and I can make money at the same time.
Above all, you're coming with an economic solution.
Of course,
The problem that exists that they may not be aware of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
So, I guess to an extent, you're an educator.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I try not to look at it in that kind of way. But yeah, I guess I am educating, just trying to just help my merchants and be a servant, to the community, and on the standpoint of providing point of sale solutions, contactless payments right now, this COVID environment, from there to your online platforms, to accepting payments online. I mean, we help with all that, across the board to really just make our day better for our merchants. Yeah.
Robert, there's this emerging industry called hemp.
Yeah.
And, how sensitive and/or resistant are the big card issuers managing transactions in that industry?
It's complicated. I mean, it really isn't anything that's very negative about hemp. It's not a gun that someone's purchasing. It's not something that's going to go out there and kill them. It's probably safer than cigarettes. But it's an industry that I think that big banks are trying to get a hold of. So what they have done is put in place certain restrictions to where a merchant like myself can't go and can't help out a hemp business, a merchant processor like myself can't help out a hemp business because our issuing bank, Wells Fargo, will put them on a high risk status. And that high risk status will price them right around 6% of transactions.
Jeez.
Yeah.
6% of total revenue, 6% of total income.
Yeah. And that's unfair. So we are looking at different avenues to kind of work around that. There's something we can do for the business to kind of alter their business, business description, or just or partnerships that we need to get in place and in line and solidify first to really offer that product to the growing CBD industry.
So maybe they're just a novelty job.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. So things are in place to hopefully get that rolling here soon.
Yeah. What if I open a business and call it Chronic Incorporated? Probably won't go over very well.
Good luck, man. Yeah.
That's very interesting. We're talking to Mr. Robert Stewart here.
Yes, sir.
Of Transatlantic. I'm sorry, Transglobal Payment System.
Better than just Atlantic, man.
It's not like you're importing some people over here.
Yeah, no.
Right,
stay away from that.
In the hull of a ship anyway, right?
Yes, sir.
That's great. And it's 32 minutes after the hour. Robert, we know that payment processing, as you described, is the absolute backbone of how transactions happen, card to pocket.
Yep.
How does it impact? How has it been impacted in this COVID environment?
I mean, substantially. Things are moving away from cash. People don't want to. You have businesses out here that only do cards now, only do card payments now. Because with cash payments, it's. I don't know where that dollar has been. It might have COVID on it. I don't know. But that's the paranoia that people are facing today.
Wow.
So the payment industry being able to accept contactless payments, being able to pull out my phone and just tap to go to pay with Apple Pay and Google Pay. That's something that's really that technology has really revolutionized and taken off. I can use my watch. Now with our products, I can go up and use my watch to pay. But all that, of course, has to be set up by that consumer first beforehand. Yes. But even with the credit cards, we do have technology in place now that allows merchants or customers just to walk up to that merchant, tap to pay at time of checkout. Even if, say, it's a full service restaurant and they don't want their customer, of course, getting up to go pay somewhere, their server can walk out with one of our products, tap to the customer, they pay, they sign right there, and then that employee goes back to wherever they were, and the customer gets up and walks out. And they have never taken anything out their pocket. They've or any cash out of their pocket, not a card or anything. They just tap their phone. Or, of course, they can use their card.
Way back in the 80s, an author named Alvin Toffler wrote a book called Power Shift. And, he talked about eventually having a cashless society.
Yeah.
Where we're living on our imagination, more or less. Are we close to this? This technology sort of outstripped the infrastructure so far? we're capable of doing more stuff than we're capable of processing.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely moving from that, or towards that type of society, type of world. I mean, I remember seeing a movie back in the day where a guy had a little chip in his arm with numbers,
Wow.
bank account right there.
It wasn't 666, was it?
Oh no!
No.
No, I don't think it's a devil.
That's reassuring. That's quite reassuring.
But it is definitely moving, in that direction. I think cash is going to be obsolete. Fiat currency is going to be obsolete.
Wow.
It's and so what we're trying to, as a merchant processing company, as providing technology in the payment space, we're trying to continuously be on that front end of that evolution.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah, and because I mean the products we have now are great. They are in place to catch that next wave.
Mm-hmm.
The technology itself, the hardware itself,
Mm-hmm.
and the software itself is ever changing. So our products is one of those things where you can purchase it one time, the hardware, and then that software just continuously updates, just like your iPhone or something would.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, we're here talking again to Mr. Robert Stewart,
Yes, sir.
Global Payment Systems. Give me the URL. You have a URL or a website?
Yes, sir. It's www.tgpayment.com.
www.tgpayment.com.
Yes, sir.
Look it up on the web, understand its processing, understand its product, understand its capability, and the value add to your business.
Sure.
And it's 36 minutes after hours. Robert was so glad to stop by today.
Hey,
Will you
I
come back
appreciate it.
sometime and update us, please?
Yes, sir. I definitely will, man.
Fantastic.
You invite me back.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
And we're out.
Hello, I'm Carlin Charleston, Executive Director of Erase Races, and I want to take this time to invite you to an opportunity to change the world. Perhaps you're too busy and too preoccupied to help change the world, but please take the next 2 minutes to listen to how we plan to do it. The divisiveness and bitterness observed in our country today is not a coincidence of the current administration or any administration before. It is also not a product of a singular or multiple infractions by a zealous or racist police force. No, the race problem precedes the founding of our country. Our very history speaks in racial language, and most everything that happens in our society now carries with it racial baggage. It simply does not have to stay that way. The Erase Race campaign has only one objective: the unifying of all Americans, and that without regard to the color of their skin. This is a difficult challenge because of our history, but we can do it if we believe. If we believe that Martin Luther King Jr. was right when he said, "We are tied together in a single garment of destiny," we can do it. We can do it if we believe the founding principles upon which our country was built, that all men are created equal, we can do it. And if we believe that God did in fact make all nations of men from one man, and that we are all therefore part of one family, one race, then we can do it. Yes, the task is monumental, but the reward is worth the challenge. If you would like to join us as we change America and inevitably change the world, go to eraseraces.com, sign up today, and welcome to Erase Races, because there is only one race, and you're in it.
Aren't you tired of not getting what you want in bed?
Are you ready to spice things up behind those closed doors?
Woo! We're here for you every hump day at 7 p.m.
This is Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen. I'm Jennifer Reeves.
And I'm Hendrik Scott, and we are professional licensed sex therapists.
So remember to watch us Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Edge Radio TV, just in time for sexy time.
And welcome back to the Athletes United platform here on the Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters. I'm your host, Big Mel, his judgeship, who's the master of all that he surveys and final arbiter of all that comes before him. We have on our program today a lovely young lady, an interesting prospect named Miss Seanne. She is a social impact innovator, and she considers herself a voice for good. And she's done some innovative things out here. Raised in Westport, Connecticut. Are you kidding me? Is that right? We'll talk about that a little bit. How are you doing this morning? This afternoon, John. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Do you hear us this afternoon? Are you with us?
Oh, hi. I could not hear anything you said. It was me. You guys were muted on my end.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I don't know if you were introducing or what, but hi.
I've introduced you as a social impact innovator. And
oh, thank you.
And a voice for good. Spoke a little bit about your background a little bit in terms of where you were born, which I found interesting. Westport, Connecticut.
Well, no. Actually, I was born in Detroit, Michigan. So that's where my family is from, Detroit. And we moved around when I was a kid quite a bit. So I went from Detroit to Ohio to Massachusetts to Connecticut is where I spent most of my time. And then, then after that, I went to college in DC, law school in Philadelphia. I worked in New York, moved to Los Angeles. So I've been around a little bit. But my family is from Detroit, and I was there until I was 5, but I grew up mostly in Westport, Connecticut.
That is rather patrician, if I might say so. Would you agree? That's interesting. There's parts of Westport, they won't let guys like me in. You know what I mean? They just won't let me in.
No, you can, put it this way. It's like you can get in if you can afford it. You know what I mean? And I have to say that was one of the very interesting things about living in Westport was you really understand the difference that economics make to some degree. So to the extent that if you're there, the people recognize that you're supposed to be there because you can afford to live there. And that not to say that there wasn't racism, there definitely was. And my growing up in Westport was mostly listening to people say that I wasn't really Black.
Really?
And then I had to help them to define what Black meant. Because to them being Black meant that you wouldn't be able to live there in that style. And I've actually experienced that on both sides. So in Westport, it was that you're not really Black, even though that was the second time in my life that somebody called me the N-word. So they definitely had some thoughts. But then in Philadelphia, my parents, they owned several Wendy's franchises, and I worked with them when they opened the first one, and we were in North Philadelphia, and we were not only working the business but working with the kids, so we thought to really help to develop them and provide them with opportunity and provide them with training and manager positions and things like that. And then about a year into it, we discovered that those kids looked at us that way too, that we weren't really Black. And we're like, well, what did you think? What did you think we were talking about when we were saying the things we were saying? They were like, I don't know. They just couldn't conceive of, Black people owning the business. It was hard.
Wow. But that's in North Philly. That's where Temple is located, is it not?
Temple is located in North Philadelphia. Exactly.
If you want to know something about Philadelphia.
You have such a great voice.
If you really want to know something about Philadelphia, you have to hang out in North Philly.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I went to law school there where you just, at that time, you parked your car and you ran from your car to the school.
My God. That's
as quickly as you could, but it was good. And I know I haven't been there in a long time, but I hear that they've really, really revived and uplifted that neighborhood.
I've seen some murals and some vast dedications and monuments, if you will, that some local artists have really begun to sort of impact that culture around North Philly. I found that interesting.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, I think there's so much, just so much to be said for art in general. And in many ways, I'm an artist. I'm a creator, and so I definitely agree with what you're saying. And I think where you can really, really see that is in the city of Miami, where there's just art everywhere.
Wow.
Any empty space, you find art. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that I was in a car one day in Miami near it was near Overtown, and I saw a mural of Mansa Musa, and I was like, wow, look at that. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. Just a mural on some random building, and I was really, really happy to see that. And so it does go to show you how art can impact the neighborhood, and art impacts people because it can provide an understanding about things that might not otherwise be seen.
For sure. Is Overtown, you mentioned Overtown, is that synonymous with Little Cuba, Little Havana?
It's right. It's near there. It's near there. Yeah, and it's considered, a really, I guess, I don't know how to describe the area. It's considered kind of a really rough area. Probably an area that has not received enough resources would be more my guess.
Somehow you wound up at Howard. You were.
How did I wind up there? Well, by growing up in Westport, Connecticut. So, I could have. I did very well in school. I could have gone to any school I wanted to. If I wanted to go Ivy League, I could have done that. And I was accepted to every college and university that I applied to. Received multiple academic scholarships. And I got a full academic scholarship from Howard. And as soon as I got that one, that was it. My decision was made. And it was, I didn't want to step into my college life sort of living in the same way I had through, my education up to that date. And it was an opportunity for me to be around, my people, to be around Black people, and to be around Black people where no one was going to be saying you're not really Black because you're smart and educated and talented, because everyone at Howard is that. And that is our community, and that's who we are. That's who we are as people. That is Black. That's what Black is. Black is, excellence and education and etiquette and decorum. And so those are things I'm really focused on now as we've, gone through this latest transition in the United States. And it's really, I think, high time that we represent who we are and who we have always been, not only as a people but also as a country.
By all means. I'm sure it's not lost on you that our nation's VP is a Howard alum, huh?
Of course not. I mean, this is like, for us, it's like we always knew Howard. Howard has a great reputation, starting from 1867. And, there are some people who had a misunderstanding that going to an HBCU would reduce your opportunity, when in fact we've always known it was opposite. I mean, we knew that from Supreme Court justices, and we've known this for a very long time, and now we see it yet again with Kamala. So Kamala is yet another example of the legacy of going to Howard University that has never been broken. So what we see is what we've always known.
So during your matriculation there, you were sort of reassured that you were actually black.
Well, I wasn't. I mean, we just knew it was. You know what was great? You didn't have to talk about it anymore.
There you go.
Yeah, it was never discussed while we were there, it was almost like having a 4-year reprieve of not having to deal with really absolute nonsense. It kind of reminds me of the show Bridgerton that's been airing on Netflix that Shonda Rhimes did that is now that show has had the largest streaming of any show ever on Netflix. And what's so interesting about it is that it takes place in the 1800s and there are both black and people, and throughout the series no one is identified by race. You see them and you see a difference in color, but there's not a difference in stature. There's not a conversation about it. There's no separation. And that watching that's what it feels like when you're at an HBCU. You don't have to, you're a human being, period. You're human.
That's powerful. John, can you explain to us the term and the thoughts behind WURA? W-U-R-A.
Sure. I'm glad you asked, actually. So, I've never had a nickname in my entire life. Never really wanted one. And I have one now. I made a really conscious effort over this last year to expand my global horizons and relationships, which might sound interesting to do that during, a global pandemic. But that was a decision that I made, and I made a concerted effort to make it happen. And I've reaped huge rewards in terms of my friendships and my relationships and really life-changing learning and edification. And WURA means gold in Yoruba, which is a commonly spoken language in Nigeria. And it was given to me by my Nigerian friends, and I hope that I wear it well.
You do. You do.
And it's part of, like I say, this really proclamation that I've made to participate in moving us forward in a first of all in a very high vibration, but also moving us forward with, like I say, class and etiquette and decorum. But the way I was raised, the way my grandmother was raised and her grandmother was raised, and I feel like, certainly over the last 4 years, we did not experience that at all. But I think it was the time before that even led up to the possibility of accepting what we did accept, over the last 4 years. And even when you look at the music, which you can always tell so much about what's going on in an environment when you look at music. The music was trash language and trash
Let's talk
symbols
about music here for a second, quickly.
Yeah.
We're running out of time, but quickly tell us your association with Berry Gordy and Motown and that entire infrastructure.
Sure. So my great aunt Raynoma Gordy Singleton, she was actually married to Berry Gordy, and beyond that, she's the one who actually took him in when he had nothing. And the two of them actually co-founded Motown. She signed Stevie Wonder to Motown. She taught Smokey Robinson musical theory. She actually took great part in creating like their system of etiquette actually within Motown, so that when Motown artists traveled, they traveled again with decorum. And she also created the publishing company that was eventually sold to Universal.
I'm glad you brought that. I'm glad you brought that up, and you're glad you gave us some clarity on that. John, we're just delighted to have you this afternoon. I know we're running short on time, but
thank you so much.
You got to come back and update us sometime.
Okay.
Love the hair.
Well, let me just say really quick before you hang up that I have two big projects coming out. Chicago 1919 Keith David is my producing partner, as well as Carmelo Anthony is my producing partner.
Carmelo.
And then I have a series coming out called Attain 9 Global, which is an unscripted series. And Jeezy is one of the judges, and Jeezy's also my producing partner on that project. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Give us a website or something, some way of identifying or reaching out. Do you have a website?
To identify what?
To identify with your books, your movies, any of your...
Seanne N. Murray Enterprises. .com.
Seanne N. Murray.
Yeah, but I can be found on all social media at Seanne N. Murray.
You're ubiquitous. You're everywhere, and we're glad to have you today. Come back and talk to us soon.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
And we're out.